I was almost kicked out of university, and in this video, I'm not only going to explain why, but I'm going to show you. Over the course of my research, I have found that the highest ranked universities are often the most restrictive around free speech. What does it tell you about the state of our education system, where the universities with the highest ranked educational standards are the ones where students aren't allowed to express free thoughts or have a different opinion? I'm quite lucky in terms that my university focuses on creativity over academic ability, which usually means the actual university is much better in terms of free speech than at other universities, for example like Bradford, Manchester, Cambridge, etc. I can already hear the shouting from the rooftop, "See, you don't get targeted for your opinions." But then those same people neglect to take into account students like John Christian, James SS, Luca, and the countless others I've experienced along my journey. I myself haven't had anywhere near the same level of treatment, but the absolute crap they teach us in the curriculum is exactly the same. Which is actually the reason I got in trouble in the first place. I was showing you exactly what we were being taught. And before anyone points out the health and safety aspect of it, which we're going to go down later, where I apparently put students' lives in danger, I will categorically disprove that to be the case. I spoke with my union representative, Neil McRae, just before the disciplinary meeting, and he was shocked that this was something they even pulled me up on. When you compare it to the amount of students who do exactly the same thing and yet face no repercussions simply because politics was not involved. Now, before I get into the specifics, I would like to address that I don't want this video being used as a reason that you shouldn't speak out. In fact, most of the friends I've actually made since starting uni are because of how vocal I've been with my political opinions and affiliations. If anything, this should encourage you to speak out more against the tyrannical institutional Marxist regime plaguing university campuses. The more that people speak out, the more we grow in numbers. And the more we grow in numbers, the more weight we have behind us when we tell the oligarchs of universities where to stick it. When I first received the email to tell me that I'd been placed under investigation, I assumed it was only for one video, where I showed us being taught about the EDL. I later found out there was two videos. Before explaining in depth exactly what reasons these videos got me in trouble, let's first take a look at both videos. Disclaimer, yes, I will be blurring and censoring the content as well as redacting all documents just so I can cover my own ass. In the first video posted to my channel on February 7th, I showed us being taught about the EDL. They brought up a picture of a Hindu woman standing up to a member of the EDL, where we were left to draw our own conclusions, which looking at the picture, you would immediately guess, "Black woman stands up to far-right racist." I then took a quick video of this and then posted it to our channel. I never once mentioned the university it took place at, and I made sure that no one's faces was showing, nor could you really understand what was being said. Anyone who knows much about the EDL knows they were extremely racially diverse, and I hate using the term diverse, but in this case it's very, very true. And they had a Hindu section, they had an LGBT section. As I pointed out in the classroom, they were more diverse than my bloody class. Here's the video. Is there anything else to play there? No, that's it. A 4-second video clip with the caption, "Learning about the EDL in uni. This is a film and TV lesson and we're being taught they are racist." After posting this video, some fascist asshole sitting in their leather jacket playing with their nipples while jacking it to Karl Marx decided to report me. This led the investigator to start digging through my social media, which, to be honest, I'm surprised they didn't do beforehand. And in a second, we're going to get into how people found out I attended that university in the first place, because, spoiler alert, it's not because of me. But before that, let's go through the second video, of which they wouldn't have found without digging through my social media presence. In the second video, I will admit I'm more in the wrong than in the first one. Me and one of my mates were chatting, and I found out that one of our mutual friends had dropped the course because our teacher decided to go on a rant about toxic masculinity. Now, I just want to point out the double standard here, right? Because I do believe universities should be a marketplace of ideas, so I don't think woke should be removed from campuses. Instead, I believe that it should be politically balanced. But imagine if I went on a rant talking about how all women are toxic, all women belong in the kitchen or whatever, right? There would be absolute uproar. So the fact that a teacher can go rant to a bunch of male students about toxic masculinity and how all men are toxic, but then I can't talk about it online because otherwise I'm in the wrong and I get punished. That's just ridiculous, a blatant double standard. So as I just said, people get it all wrong. I'm not calling for an end to woke culture on campus. I'm merely calling for an end to institutionalized Marxism, which shuts down the ability to debate and free speech. If anything, I'm pointing out the blatant double standards where universities are no longer a marketplace of ideas, just woke brainwashing campuses, training you to act like sheep so you can become brain-dead zombies with less willpower than Joe Biden being told what to sign. Here's the video. From being out of a few of my mates, right, who were in the year above me, yeah, and they were complaining to me about one of our teachers, right, who has been pushing this woke agenda, talking about female empowerment in films and female directors and the patriarchy and the women pay gap and all of this kind of woke shite. I obviously shortened the video, but I did mention the university and my lecturer's first name. And this is one of the things they tried to get me on. However, for a start, no one knew what university I attended until they admitted it in a Wales Online article. And so what? I mentioned a teacher's first name. There's no rule against that. The only rule is reputational damage, meaning you can't criticise your university without facing punishment. But my main argument to this is, if they were so worried my politics would cause a reputational damage, why did they admit I studied there in the first place? Now, I also want to point out the blatant hypocrisy when it comes to using teachers' first names on videos, because there's a bunch of TikToks where they're doing exactly that. But I'll show you that later in the video. So there were two policies they tried to get me on, section 6.2 and 3 of the non-academic misconduct procedure, and then also the lecture recording policy. Section 6.2 of the non-academic misconduct procedure states disciplinary offences are likely to fall into one of the categories below, with one of the points being actions which may cause reputational damage to the university as a result of the misconduct of the alleged perpetrator. Section 6.2 of the same policy just refers to examples of non-academic misconduct. In the first video I showed you, I argued that no reputational damage had been caused. This is because at Students Against Tyranny, we have a large team of admins and students across the country who submit videos and pictures for us to post. How would anyone know this video was submitted by me? I never explicitly stated that. In the caption, as I mentioned earlier, I never mentioned which university this was filmed at. This is because my problem isn't with any specific universities, it's with the entire educational system. I wanted to show you, and I felt it was my duty to show you, I felt like it was in the public's best interest for you to see exactly what is involved in our curriculum, where in film and TV lessons we're learning about climate change, Trump, anti-capitalism, subjects that we may need to learn about, but why isn't it politically balanced? Why is it all very, very left-wing stuff? I did point this out to the people who were investigating my case as well. And I never explicitly stated that what they were teaching us was a negative thing. If you read over the caption again, it comes across as it could be either good or bad, depending on how you take it. And I was merely just explaining what we are being taught. If that's enough for me to cause reputational damage, then what does that say about the content of the curriculum? There was another point on section 6.3 that was brought up later, which is causing a health and safety concern. This is in reference to me allegedly showing people without their consent. And this is obviously talking about the EDL video, as well as the video where I mentioned the teacher's first name. Let's talk about the EDL video first. In the EDL video, I made sure there were no faces that were showing, only the back of someone's head, and you couldn't really understand what was being said. However, in the second video, I did mention my university lecturer's first name, and the university that I was taken at. Search on YouTube for using my teacher's first name trend, and you will see thousands of videos of students recording their teachers without consent and using their first name. Now, there is a massive difference between what they did and what I did. They actually showed what their teachers looked like, as well as using their first name. I just used my teacher's first name. No one knows what that specified teacher looked like, and no one knows what their surname is. How is that a health and safety concern? Now let's talk about the lecture recording policy, of which only applies to the EDL video. And I don't really have a defense to it. They told me in an email that they were particularly concerned that there appears to have been a breach of the student code of conduct in terms of putting other members of the university at risk by breaching their privacy without consent, with the specified policy stating that a student may only use the recording for the purpose of their own personal study. This student must destroy any copy of the recording they hold once this purpose has been met. Furthermore, once I found out about this investigation, I immediately rang my good friend Neil McRae from the Workers of England Union, of which now do a student discount if anyone's looking for a good union to join. And I did this to ask if he could represent me. He immediately said yes. As I was trying to organise a good date and time with my university for this disciplinary meeting, I brought up that I would be having legal representation. And this is what I was told. The non-academic misconduct procedure is an internal process and is not a legal process. UWTSD does not normally use legal professionals in the handling of cases and does not expect that students will need to do so either. The engagement of legal professionals by students is normally not permitted within the non-academic misconduct process, non-academic misconduct policy 1.3. However, recognising that students may require advice to engage well with its processes, the university advises students to use the services of the UWTSD Students' Union, who are independent from the university and have a full understanding of the university's processes and procedures. To which I responded with, You've been using language like not normally, and the policy states you do not advise, but you instead pointed me in the direction of a union which is politically bent to the left and has a very clear hatred of my organisation and what I stand for. If I want to bring legal representation from a union I am very friendly with, I'm entitled to do so, as even all the policies do not explicitly state I am not allowed. Yeah, I know, what a gangster. So yeah, that's what happened. Me and Neil attended the meeting on March 3rd at 2 p.m. The meeting was about 20 minutes in length, and they didn't really let me defend myself that long. It was just we know you're guilty, remove the videos, and we'll recommend that it's a non-complex procedure. So basically, right, you have a non-complex procedure and a complex procedure, right? For a non-complex procedure, it's just a slap on the wrist, basically, written warning, stuff like that. For a complex procedure, it could result in you getting kicked out. The person who's in charge of my case then gives that recommendation to the students' cases review group, who then decides what the punishment is, whether it's a complex procedure or a non-complex one. The students' cases review group convened on Monday the 6th of March and agreed with the investigators' assessment that it's a non-complex procedure. And as of that afternoon, I was informed that I was not going to be kicked out of university. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.